Yes, so that definitely still seeing the one person really that right now with that doing that about the case of the that that one of the right now so definitely Leon would be totally right now like the performance of the team extremely insecure about his bad performance so far against at definitely because like definitely might be very interesting that like ever since like Leon trying to gain that with the favorite champion like I think that Leon earning that title like like Leon might have never had a single bad thing with like still like the person back like Leon might have struggled so much against like an opponent. Definitely might have very right. So like they're right now even though worn out like with like having 4 on remaining while Leon only having like 3 on remaining. Definitely Leon will be feeling extremely insecure and sleep down scared and intimidated by has black performance. So like that possibility of that Leon totally that Leon's image and the huge title of that being this like undefeated champion and that getting crushed by Pat with that absolute fear that might be present with Leon was definitely and that fear might have existed within Leon before even Leon's battle against Ashton began, right before even Leon's battle against Ashton began, especially right after. So that was the reason for, and the reason for that, like, would be that's the reason for like Leon being stressed out before battle against that Ash. Definitely, but I'm still getting to my personal theory question that like Ash man or more like the way Ash that is like might also say reminder Leon of that very first battle that he might have that spoken by that later. He might have had just like this might have been against Sonya, in which like Leon might have ended up in the lost it. So like yet like another thing that that friendship might have been at that point said might have been formed between like Leon and Sonya and that through that battle and then Sonya might have trained Leon and killed Leon out and then they might have had a rematch use that Leon might have defeated Sonya and to spread Leon might have not lost not even a single that like certainly might have been correct. So like it might have been Sonya out of 24 like Leon might have been adamant about that basically not letting that the world find out about that Leon about that Leon having lost opportunity that thing as well to the Filipino direction. That might be how that was image of that Leon being that one time Leon had to be the champion that big image of that Leon being that the undefeated champion. That image might actually be a total false image. Was definitely my personal impression. So definitely that image that about this Leon that might have been insecure, extremely insecure later on about from different timeline community. That's the possibility of that that was getting touched through action would be having left a lot of similarity to that Sonia that to that Sonia the man of you can see that or like the way Sonia battled that to continue that when Leon had that of battle against Sonia like that when like the way Sonia had battled against Leon like that maybe Leon might have had some kind of similarity like the way Ash battled themselves unprecedented the way Sonia battled that definitely might experience so that probably that fear of that the check like how Leon might have only loved in this lack of that against Germany and like the possibility of that Leon and just like not the championship but again has like Leon also maybe actually do that cheer that might do some like just within that Leon might be the reason for like Leon being struck out before having like that little hat especially my second and that based on that fear that might present Leon's refuse we can affect Leon's like performance into that legend, current that legend and especially also Melbourne legend. And this might be the reason for like specifically the fact that like Leon is definitely not interested. So like Leon might not only that is has quite Leon that kind of shape. It definitely might be the case to complete my physical because situations that while as that Dragonite while using is that Dragonite immediate attack on and was like that way holding on to that from Leon's that Dragon the fact that at that point Leon called out in an attempt to like reach us like Dragon from Dragonite was just like the fact that Leon called out like the move Thunderbolt instead of like Dragon Tail which could have guaranteed that the survival of Dragon at that point. Yet like Leon calling out Thunderbolt which going to get better in that attempt fading and like Leon like Dragon ending up being defeated by Thatcher's Dragonite like so yeah all this will be that structure element of that the great undefeated champion Leon that walked into that uh, to that not fall out trying to say that that's very different during that moment under the point that we don't be due to that Leon was simply doing strikers and flag so that the strikers free to affect Leon's battle performance might be the case definitely might be the range. So this might be also the reason for like, the great undefeated champion Leon like right now already like basically I have only 3 Pokemon remaining when I have four Pokemon remaining and has even being able to maintain in a way kind of like they kind of like being able to that, the slightly set of like an ancient system and still act overall maintaining kind of like a lead. Um, against like Leon throughout like just like current value of that hat because of Leon. So we all do think is that quite a state in which like Leon will be that in which will be like a different like that is a I feel it's a case. So that is my particular answer. So like right now with that and that will be the reason for like it will be the reason for like Leon right now in the of feeling extremely insecure. But like the great and the great champion Leon only having 3 Pokemon to know by active 4 Pokemon remaining. So that league Leon right now would be totally different, feeling that after fear and will be even more getting insecure and possibly the reason for like Leon even feeling the need to like mention to and to tell Ash about like even though I has 4 Pokemon remaining that all of the 4 Pokemon of Ash are left gone out that Leon even and even in between that Leon's battle against Ash like Leon even feeling the need to like go to the extent of that even counting Ash as well like all this is due to that Leon totally that absolutely having that you have to basically really long with it. Especially think about elements like that, which is like do the base, especially my particular younger. So that right now, even though beyond that would be right now only hoping for that exactly that how available in that is one of that the master base battles of that beyond in that master base of American one of the battles like the fact that beyond that available can basically taken out a bunch of like components in that Pokemon tag up. So Leon may be totally right now hoping for like such a magic to such a scenario to like happen and with like active remaining in the active 4 Pokemon remaining with like all those 4 Pokemon being worn out like Leon is only hoping and expecting and only hoping that really hoping that like Rillaboom once again full throw for like Leon and to them able to like do that very same thing and like before Rillaboom and as Pokemon takes out like Leon like Rillaboom before that like for Rillaboom to be able to like at least take out at least 2 or 3 Pokemon of that the ring out of the remaining 4 Pokemon of that will be what like Leon is always hoping right now. So it's definitely it's really talking right now is definitely my personal interest. But like the scope of that earlier, I'm getting totally by at this Dragonite right now. It's like the scenario that it's like naturally I'm just right now against that Leon like available. That's really the thing as not even bothering to that switch off with land Dragonite is definitely my the scenario that I'm looking at. And definitely since that available is that the grass type Pokemon and since like Dragonite is like a dragon as well as flying type Pokemon as well. And since like as Dragonite also has like the flying type powerful move as like Hurricane that comes definitely protect the player protein in the Slack current battle between like relevant for Slack Dragonite that's like about to take like the different like Dragonite definitely recreated available and that way like beyond like hope and expectation something that's relevant totally instantly that is like the scenario that I put and definitely the different like the scenario being that while Rillaboom would be that seated with like from and like basically like to unleashing all sorts of powerful Terras type moves like everything that has its Dragonite at straight away or then its Dragonite will like take to the skies and basically as Dragonite fly up in the air and easily routing those Terras type moves of like this next scenario that I'm again from the sky and the straight away Dragonite as Dragonite to use it to like hurricane move like the scenario that I'm looking for. So that move coupled with that, the fact that Dragonite is also like a flying type of and like the flying type also move as like Hurricane and using that move, landing a direct hit, not only like landing a direct hit on like Rillaboom, but like that's super effective attack swapping land Rillaboom to take significant extent of like damage, like the scenario. And then the like, scenario to be like solely due to like as having when we are in like as Dragonite fight against like Rakdos against like Leon's like how the the fact that solely due to like the fact that has Dragonite having used like the Dragonite meteor like Draco meteor attack which something like the side effect of that regular using the special attack and it's like hurricane is like a specific attack type move and the player can solely do that that reason they don't like as a Dragonite not being able to like take out beyond like with like a single hurricane attack this is like a scenario that I'm looking at. But like I'm looking at the in like but like in that single hurricane attack that was a significant damage to beyond like the scenario that I'm looking for. But like and I'm looking for that movie Nash still like as a driver it's still dictating Leon's like the good and like the most that I'm looking for that might finish off that Leon's like the woman was maybe could be improved another track on it at that right I think so like just like very good scenario that I'm looking for so like that way that has Dragonite current one of Dragonite itself that defeating that Leon's that fully energized that that available that's like right now entering into like the battlefield for like the first time to be prepared in that. It's like that way like Leon thoroughly getting Leon thoroughly getting and that's just like the scenario that I'm that way as always once again taking out that Leon Pokemon and that way that the gap increasing to the point of like Leon being down to only two Pokemon like Ash would be having like uh if like four Pokemon training at that point of like scenario that I'm going to solve it right and probably the race. And the new thing that Leon would you so differently want to in the fairly that but that we use into that maybe remove gimmick and take different that I think that we use so far use the name to remove it so they want to maybe that we want to only make it make that for example like using that will remove gimmick on that use like for example it's also like about the design yeah like I'm to bring that way like for example sending out like a remove equivalent that powerful to remove powerful type remove attack against that as a fragment that scenario yet like I'm doing that fragment that fragment can totally fly like I'm doing that fragment easily not that type premium that Leon level like saying the scenario that and definitely I'm supposing that Leon level definitely I think won't be a special Pokemon like as it's like special people which can use like special kind of like that basically even if that the opponent Pokemon thought that chase after like will still chase after like the opponent Pokemon and show up to like fight like the opponent Pokemon that kind of like special geno that activity alone have is like activity have used in like in its like battle against that student student like Metagross that is that move that even when students like Metagross had successfully thought that Zoomer was to be good at the fact that that move had basically chased after and um, don't and that ended up being like a totally unavoidable move that even if that opponent Pokemon thoughts that chases after like if opponent does not land from that opponent Pokemon. But it's very special, extra special remove and the thing that Leon's uh available won't be having that but not that so like I'm saying that way like once that as Dragonite would be dodging that demo of that Leon that available so that can be that hope of that Leon connection to that taking out that Ash's Dragonite with that available have remove which is straight away gone with that scenario that I'm super so like in short like definitely to stick into like taking the realization for like Ash not only not deciding not to let it off his like Dragonite but like Ash's Dragonite straight away as Dragonite itself that defeated that Leon like Rillaboom. And that way Leon like Rillaboom ending up getting defeated without even being able to take out not even a single Pokemon of that single one of Pokemon or remaining one of Pokemon that had so that's the scenario that and also the debate and my person very okay, so that's definitely my technical information right now that as the Dragonite totally using like the Hurricane attack and like that I'm thinking that maybe I'm thinking that right now maybe for like that will be professional but maybe for that Dragonite using one more Hurricane usually along the road as like that between that Dragonite and the one with the and other maybe in that second Hurricane that like Dragonite would be used at that point I'm thinking that the thing is like Hurricane has like the secondary effect of like confusing like opponent and the 30% chance of that happening. I'm just looking at that actually happening, and I can look at with that, and I can look at that, nuance that levels that they can conflict. It's also that influence for the sun after that point. So that the room being like a confused kind of like a state, and that as well, I'm looking at that and like like easily taking advantage of to deliver that another that top like maybe one of that fragment that powerful fragment type of maybe that fragment type other than fragment or some stuff more and that why am I using that taking advantage of that confused state of that available to that to land that next node and maybe that operating in that dragonite straight away that taking out that beyond step at that point. So that's also like an use for scenario that I'm also looking and that's brilliant. Okay, so that definitely makes it very interesting right now. And for that, right now, and also like let's find ways to use like Dragonite meter instead of that. The Dragon meter that in related on the different that might be to maybe as might have felt along the lines of that if that as order that Dragonite that that exact track for media attack that. Then that with that Dragonite even take the power up to the sky and they will launch that the Draco meter from high up in the sky and this great number of meteors that they fall towards like meteors around like if they fall towards meteoroid would be once again as might have said even at that point in such a scenario 11 might easily be able to that once again use its like drum beating move which since it was able to that withstand as of that dragon like hurricane move that I'm different like the fact that the grass plays more like from even being able to that different and kind of the power for like as dragonite like applying type Pokemon like as dragonite like Hurricane movie. This is powerful move like Hurricane number things that might be solely due to that dragonite being as dragonite being so often definitely by the so definitely the black has right now might be things that basically if at order like track of media instead of that dragonite media then regardless of that the number of that media that is falling towards like from higher in the sky towards like Rillaboom. Regardless of that, like Rillaboom once again using that from using more it would like be able to like protect itself using the like powerful vines of like Rillaboom. It would be from each and every single one of like the Dragon media that would be falling towards like Rillaboom would be along the lines that might have felt. So like I'm just that due to this reason I'm just like that might be right now thinking along the lines of that basically even if it throws that this current that as might have decided to like for that the Dragonite media after that due to this reason might be the case. So like actually right now the thing that is that Dragonite so far has like fought so well as might be right now thing that was really even if never take out Dragonite like I'm with that as Indian right now behind that ordering that the Dragonite needs the ability to either have that Dragonite go out while managing like what significant damage to that your level or like to have as a Dragonite using that the Dragonite need to attack with that as due to that attack level that Dragonite charming towards that level that take enthusiasm attempt to that how as Dragonite take out level along with it. It definitely might be the case. It definitely might be correct. So definitely that the Dragonite as well charming towards that available like surrounding with like surrounding itself with like Dragonite in the like different definitely that way actually the thing that basically even like the from beating point of that will be possibly be able to that get fight up due to that Dragonite that due to that attack in Dragonite nature and more striking and that way that Dragonite itself with like charming towards like a little. So that attack will be get through would be able to like get through that from the attack of a little and that way Dragonite will be the Dragonite would be able to like land that attack on Rillaboom to cause significant damage to that Rillaboom. Even if that scenario is open like Dragonite getting defeated would be along the lines like Ashes might get in it and this would might be what like Ashes right now. I think they throw the Dragonite nature attack instead of that Draco nature attack right now. It's definitely my personal very right. But definitely my personal theory and version right now is definitely for like this current like Dragonite nature attack strategy of like apps considering the failing like the scenario that I was bringing, especially because of that because like I made about like the from beating attack was that available straight away having reduced like the speed like had this right. So like I'm definitely due to that reducing of like Dragonite speed like a business on top of that Dragonite being one of like a different this collective region of the different right now at like as Dragonite is less charming towards like a level with its like Dragonite attack like right now the one that never you want to say to it once again offering level he knows it's that from beating attack. And like I'm the so why easily being able to that land and take out like that the incoming champion that Dragonite need to attack and Dragonite is like the scenario better. So like I'm doing like with that from beating attack, which I'm doing right now, Jones like Rillaboom will be using number in that Rillaboom will be uh straight away taking out Dragonite with that scenario that I'm going to take and my talking to them. So like right now I'm going to make that be that Rillaboom I'm focusing right now with that attack like with people that Dragonite with like the scenario that and my talking very it is so like the my particularly one person right now with like Dragonite even surviving that the time I suppose like the from deep attack but and right now using that the Dragon Claw that on the flip of it that definitely equals like current something like that the Dragonite towards like in the such like Dragon Claw that still understanding would be focused daily. So definitely in my country so that I'm doing like that right now people trying to be probably might not have forgot about like the drum beating attack having already reduced that finite space and on top of that like the second drum beating attack as well lateral level already having used like a second drum beating attack as well which has also landed on finite like that the speed might have been reduced even greatly then more once more might have been what might have actually happened is that blue level so that might be totally distracted and might have totally forgot about that fact definitely never be able. So that might be the reason for like ordering to like Dragonite to use Dragon Claw and to like charge towards like once again charge towards like level and that charging of Dragonite will be at such an extreme slow speed in actuality. definitely due to that releases, double releases of this kind of happens definitely my first premise. So that due to actually maybe forgetting about the IP racing for like I'm not order to like Dragonite to use like long range and like as not as the fact that like even with like Dragonite having got like to release like the fact that it's not focusing on that using like some long range attacks of that Dragonite and instead like and so right now with like the Dragon Glow trying to have the like Dragonite use that the close range attack once again. But then that this might be due to that actually forgetting about like the relation of that Dragonite. It might be the case. It's definitely might be the so that looks like incoming current charging towards that levels like Dragonite using the black brand. So I definitely want to at all be able to that Dragonite right now with its black brand. So I just want to be able to that at all be land on the level with that scenario setup. So like just find the brand that John totally ordering another move of that level like the scenario setup. So like I'm looking like at this Dragonite with its like brand close to getting so close to it like level and I'm thinking like Leon will be patiently waiting for that moment. So like at that point like when Dragonite will be getting so close to that level with this like Dragon Claw attack like I couldn't take off as Dragonite landed that Dragon Claw attack like level using some sort of like a different nearly grass another grass type of replacing that how unbelievable that at Dragonite so to that getting that close range that attack from that level another pickup type of like which might take out like at this Dragonite it's also that even though as Dragonite, even though Grass type moves are not good protected against that as Dragonite, still something that due to that as a Dragonite have been worn out already, and we haven't taken that to from beating that as well already. That very next attack when charging at left the bomb left Dragon Claw, that left the very next attack always like when the bomb will be attacking Dragonite, but then Dragonite indicated defeated like scenario that so the next time my very so that's certainly something very encouraging right now with that relevant right now. So it's each and every single one of it to repeat that trying to that Dragonite and Team Rocket only singing relevant so fast for it right like definitely thing like it would definitely be natural team would definitely be Team Rocket exactly like as totally would have not forgot about like the competing attack of natural level having reduced that Dragonite speed and that reduction of speed might have happened twice to like two competing attacks having land already landed on like at Dragonite. So it wouldn't be due to lack of level being fast, but like it would be due to that the extreme reduction in speed of like hatches Dragonite that have happened that like your natural level is right now easily able to like dodge each and every single one of them the multiple triangle blow attacks of like magic Dragonite might be what's happening right now. It's definitely my favorite. And right now that acrobat attack of that level, I'm definitely putting that level of landing it after like 40% of the one of that triangle attack like but them looking like as the Dragonite would be like starting to like plant and would be getting exhausted seriously. And at that point is when I'm looking like after dodging each and every single one of that triangle attack like Rillaboom would be landing if like acrobat attack on that like that acrobatic attack on like as a Dragonite and with that attack on the flavoring as a Dragonite getting located by Rillaboom it's like scenario that I'm working out and my very and others. Like me, my very impressive right now is that are relevant to getting access to that environment. Like I'm just talking the things that means the next Pokemon that has to get into like surface. Definitely the scenario that I'm looking at. Definitely when it comes to like surface, like I'm looking at if it's leak that I'm looking at and surface like powering up with leak with it's like fighting for and I'm looking at definitely I'm looking like as a surface like using it leak and like shield would be totally protecting itself as well as simultaneously fighting off like the competing attack of like Leon's like level at that point it's like was a scenario that I'm looking at. So like definitely Surface being strong enough to like fight off that the winds of the competing attack was it like by protecting itself or the itself of its left it is as well as it's like leak this like the scenario that I'm looking at. And then I'm looking like at that point I'm looking like Leon also being ordering to like use its like acrobatic attack against like Surface. Like Surface just like a fighting type. So like I'm looking definitely um and at that point I'm looking like definitely the acrobatic attack of the level usually probably landing more like landing and doing significant damage more like the orderly one out like as a Surface which like scenario that about so mostly at that point I'm looking that and like Surface like into the back because it's like an attack and it like Surface would be on the verge of that maybe will be totally spin and surface will be spin themselves at that point. But like even taking like super quick acrobatics attack. So like I'm looking at that point is when I'm looking at that totally ordering with that surface to as totally getting it all on like the next move of that surface. Which I'm doing actually only order with that surface so that only use it's that ultimate powerful fighting type mode. So that meteor move, that meteor fighting type mode is like surface like and only falling out with like supposed to use that mode. Perfect at that point, even though bad days of the will be like finding like I'm looking still at that point, suffers like totally using things like ultimate meteor fighting type mode and starting towards like relevant with that powerful and at that point I'm just looking for Leo to totally get more confident at that point, especially in my career. Since like stuff is like already worn out and since like Rillaboom has only just recently entered into like the battle and due to like Rillaboom's like and this is fight compared to surface that I'm beyond totally feeling totally more confident that like Rillaboom would be totally able to that defend itself and fight off that would be able to that fight off that powerful fighting type meteor attack of that surface would be alone that lines like then our confident man to like you only at that point things for that thing and that point so instead of like potentials like Rillaboom to like to thoughts that to try to like thoughts that meteor incoming major fighting type attack of sector, which like the million probably ordering this latter in the bones, one of the moves of latter in the bones to like under the invoke another grass type move. See that sound like the incoming major fighting type move of that surface. That grass type move of that level will be along the lines of the and that one beyond during the order. So on about that point and this or function of Leon, which I'm different happen at that point, probably costing the look like and other than that meteor stuff that you would be putting everything into that final meteor attack, right? That mode against that other emotions like the scenario that approach. So like with that absolute determination that suffers that fighting like meteor attack like would be or for like the grass type mode of that or for like the grass type mode of that level and doing that meteor fighting type mode that's only probably doing extreme damage to like the point of that fighting type meteor attack like when the boom probably getting the bigger was like by perfection, like it was phenomenal that I'm looking and that being such a huge shock to that Leon at that point. And even to like the crowd at that point, it's like it's phenomenal that I'm looking right. That way Leon like on at that point under the happened at that point of like costing Leon there and Leon losing his like versus Rillaboom at that point is like it's phenomenal that I'm correct. At that point, since I'm looking at that point of view, it's like only two for one remain, like I'm looking like Leon only sending out things like money at that point. It's like so not yeah, I'm sorry. So definitely and like I'm looking at that attack, like with that final meteor attack of that surface, I'm feeling more just about the of that surface as well. So we totally worn out at a quarter. To the point of that surface as well, we totally not that way waiting at that point. It's a like so scenario. It's like the highly likely scenario that I'm looking for. And so like with like Leon at that point I was sending out with like for money and that at setting out like bring back like track at that point that scenario stuff. And in that bad numbers and that is another thing that we also wait out using like we know of like just like from at that point of like the scenario that I was so definitely I'm looking like usually that so that I'm looking and I'm doing that for money that immediately that in that against trackers that around with some like for money people using like remote against like trackers and that remote like landing a direct hit on like trackers is like scenario that so like that remote that trackers taking or that like powerful remote at that type remote attack of that for money like scenario that yet like I'm saying the trackers still managing like survive even after against that in the remote with that scenario that and what at that point I'm looking what so the 11th trackers left survive would be this like whole transformation kind of things happening with that trackers about the things that totally happening like that the incoming powerful know that Slogan is will be landing on the right also black economic setup and that whole transformation kind of thing happening with that part of the would be that leading to Kratos that at that point that we finally that transformation kind of thing resulting in that Kratos learning a new mode, especially when looking at the like this that whole current transformative thing happening with that Kratos would be all to will be more eventually leading to that like learning a new extremely powerful like type of that personality that I'm looking for like after taking in that hit on that powerful junior of that for one of the that track was at that point unleashing like that new powerful like type move at for one of that personality that but that attack like was that's taking out for one. is like the scenario that I was saying. And I'm going to bring that trackers by then. The already worn out trackers on top of that, shaking the direct female as well. I'm looking at trackers as well. Getting being so perspective at the point that like I'm talking that as soon as that trackers be taking out scorpion trackers as well. Fading and getting the people as well. Can flu like what scorpion as well as that trackers that fading and like that's like the scenario setup. And then it would be like at that point I'm looking like the final slowdown scenario happening with that we are sending out to that chapter love for one chapter and that adds sending out to like love for one because of this like the scenario setup and like we are straight away I'm also going to like we are straight away like gigantic like chapter and straight actually like basically the distance having to like demo so that it's going to be still like actually fighting off with like Northern Pikachu while facing off against that the gigantic like so that is then good scenario available. So like I'm looking like Pikachu totally struggling and basically like similar to the that only one on like like Pikachu totally in that fight against like the gigantic stuff. Pikachu seriously struggling and taking a lot of damage I think there is quite top of the path in that blood battle that scenario that I'm about to talk about. So like if you even that ending up like the Gmax level five like powerful moves of like the element stuff that up the landing on like that is like I need to get and still number from that that's like determination like I'm just like the same determination we do as well would be had to that basically not to not give up on Ash and basically with that has good determination like Pikachu only surviving that all those like powerful attacks of like the Dragon stuff and that then that 90 that's the 90 rate of that the Dragon stuff being over is like one possible scenario that I'm looking at. And then as like my to this everything eventually at Pikachu to be barely able to stand and at that point only using like the Vimo that alternate for express this Vimo of like Pikachu this like Chapter will be like separately will be totally dodging that while it will be sending out that powerful Vimo of like Pikachu to like Chapter and the release of Chapter in its like normal form like mostly dodging that Vimo. But like once again that due to that Pikachu Vimo being like extra special to the point of like the opponent not being able to like dot because remove it or like the person like due to that reason I'm like to remove of that to be taken after like the flying chart that is like the scenario and finally that chart that getting takes out to the point of like chart is not flying by trying like to escape that reason. But like I'm saying like people would be that following after like chart you know but how much like chart to be flying through like the that's it. And like finally chart getting the first time and really just like landing on like I will like chart and this uh, and that basically that so that team that like has has competed in the job club and it that way like has competed in the it's like one person out of that for like dollar person out of that for like even before like Leon's like charts out that the giant max form time period should be over like even before like the time period being over like when Leon's job card should be still that on that dimension that much and that activity there is standing and would be on the verge of like at that very last second is when I'm projecting that typical that still managing like stand up like and like at that point all of that because of like remains writing that just like at so late more than to that to give it because of everything into that love point that I can that would be like dream of like physics and that like physics logic that would against like towards like the gigantic giant shots after like the gigantic stuff that will be sending out it that gigantic like fire main fire move that towards Pikachu would be sending out like the tiny Pikachu would be sending out actually like from the dream of that well towards like the gigantic stuff so like that way like a total push and a flat between like the Gigantamax attack from like Gigantamax chapter and like the more from like the tiny Pikachu happening and like so like the Gmax chapter as well as like Pikachu for the pushing the individual attacks of like Zemo as well as like the Zima playing like more and that basically like at giving Pikachu that added extra confidence that Robertson works and then when that way Pikachu that pushing and basically managing to that offer that the demons have more of that of that demon stuff with that Pikachu slash the Zemo letter type Zemo and like that way that the Zemo that Pikachu that totally managing to like make it work like the demon stuff and landing on like the demon stuff and like that way that was that like the demon stuff giant chops out of that Leon getting defeated by Hatchet like the other possible scenario that I'm looking on the expand my secondary Okay, so that definitely is my considering question right now that for like the incoming class between like the high force powerful available sort of like corporate like meteor fighting back no like I'm different definitely even like Leon moderate that was like available to see that take like that powerful fighting type meteor attack meteor kind of like attack fighting type attack of like corporate number different skills to get in my considering that will definitely be that all confident about that and Leon on calculating that like since like available is like nowhere near one of that like topic and since like available was that they like renewable like two sides when compared to like topic like with all the reasons like Leon might be considering all confident and even daring to like have such like available chart and take like the take like the meteor fighting powerful meteor fighting like more like topic like head on essentially my vegetarian and essentially my vegetarian business for like the classic of the different scenario to be surface like meteor fighting type made doing significant damage to that the renewable like the scenario that I'm delivering. Definitely delivering like surface not taking any damage at all in that class between those two attacks like the scenario that I'm looking delivering like surface using like shield to like protect itself from that level like high horsepower attack and that definitely at the same time that surface that lead the switch like surface just like use it it's like meteor fighter type move that move like but like that move like quickly which previously offering like the hyper spot attack of like level and that causing significant damage to that level which like the scenario that I'm looking and taking in that attack meteor attack from like fighter type move from it for example with like level being here to like the point where like level would be having slight hard time with that even getting up like that attack so it's like the scenario that I'm looking get like I'm looking like suffice due to that the powerful effects of like the meteor fighting type motions that suffice that due to the secondary effect where like suffice can't move after that like I'm looking that leap while during that time while suffice upper like down to that attack won't be able to like move due to its like effect like I'm looking like at that point, I'm looking at Leon's like Rillaboom that slowly picking up and basically by badly injured and like Leon at that time straight away ordering to like Rillaboom to like straight away take advantage of that situation to like straight away jump towards like submit and lose it like super effective acrobatic attack against like the fight and like the scenario that and that way on the point at that point like Rillaboom using multiple acrobatic attacks simultaneously and like the and like suffers to win game that moves at that point due to the second way of like that fight type of also affect this like the scenario that are so like suffers taking it a lot of hit from like multiple hits from like that acrobatic move and like suffers will be getting taking like significant injuries from that acrobatic attack what that was like the scenario and was sorry but like I'm doing that suffers still barely holding on and they believe by the time that that secondary effect of that not being able to like move the next turn he over like I'm looking at straight away has number the thing that ordering surface to like probably use it like top type frozen swing move it's like the scenario so like at that point I'm looking at to that the scenario that I'm looking at that point you be that renewable sourcing basically using that acrobatic attack against like surface and that way like renewable will be in that close range of that surface so that's straight away at that point that using that those dark type throw the swing attack on that in a group and that's it that attacks and will fly like scenarios that I'm going to break that so that way like I'm going to that relevant that person that like the final scenario through which like suffice would be repeated level like the scenario that I'm going to so like definitely putting it being that open swing attack like suffice that will be taking out Leon's like on the level and that will suffice to be the level let's say in your scenario that I'm going to building on very much. Okay, so that's definitely my very question right now with that kind of level right now taking out like an active like doctors like definitely preparing for like right now preparing for like Michael as Michael getting a lot for like in that scenario that I'm looking at as of right now. Because that Leon right now among like the three remaining Pokemon this number running like after like relevant definitely Leon winning out with that score one and then finally chapter with like the scenario that I'm looking so definitely I'm delivering that right now. I'm definitely cutting that. as by sending out not exactly Joe, but like right now, and definitely having as sending out it's like Rackles and different like Rackles getting a lot of content and Rackles like taking off both like such powerful Pokemons of like Leon like Rillaboom as well as like Superman all by the like scenario that I'm looking for. So in the case of like Rillaboom and the different definitely Rackles like always managing to take advantage of that. Speed, so bigger speed when compared to that of the like the scenario. So like for example, none of that the drum beat wines, drum beating attacks that wines of that horrible when being able to actually land on that struggle is like scenario that again definitely the delivering that trackers that by different that way like different like scenarios to do that really using like from beating attack and like all the wines trying to like take out rifles and that shut that on rifles but like doing like rifles at that point it's great towards left level while successfully launching each and every single one of the wines and able to like rifles that way making it towards like level and basically landing six like attack on that level number to like won't be that the job I kind of like an attack but that could be that one of that one that dragon type is what I'm looking for is that dragon will be landing for that level landing that direction on that level fighting from for level this that dragon will be taking out the level that's the scenario that I'm looking and then in the case of like for money I'm still seeing the my preference for that beyond they only use of like they know give it on for the like the scenario that I'm looking. So definitely it comes to like the being in like I'm looking that definitely trackers I'm looking for like not being able to like dots like protein that and basically like I'm looking trackers like way taking in all that like powerful to remove of like for money and like still trackers like managing to like and like I'm switching into my position looking like for like trackers surviving that zero like powerful zero like for money solely due to that transformation thing happening for like Dragos and that after that remove Dragos straight away sending out that remove that Dragos will be through that transformation will be learning at that point. And that is choosing the method for emergence of that move of being like a powerful, extremely powerful dragon type move, which like Dragos is taking out for money and well and Dragos at that point itself like training and self thing like the scenario that I'm looking so that but according to my secondary I'm right now it's absolutely perfect like Dragos taking out two strong components of that beyond that above level as well as that for money before black hole change there's like the scenario that way and that way like as the black is getting a lot of spotlight and then that and in that way that so black hole's performance in black fight against black level as well as for money in this black composition black was taking out and defeating both the level as well as for money like Dragos that way, like performing Drago performance games with that and like ultimate battle against that player, far surpassing like the performance of that of even Lucario, even like the Mega Lucario or even Dragonite, it's like the scenario that I'm looking for. So, for your product, definitely my question is very interesting right now. So, like Leon right now, totally feeling that like answer given him that the chance to so it's like full potential like I'm looking for definitely Leon even saying that will be they might be able to that Leon was being unaware of that basically that like the actuality of the situation might be it might not be that as allowing Leon to that so but like for certain but it won't be even like Leon be right now won't be even fighting off against like as in that full potential and all this would have earned Leon like the fight that the undercooked champion like naturally Leon might be fighting off against that while being thoroughly in that fight state and this might be the reason for like the majority the fact that the great undefeated champion Leon has only been able to that take the lead over as like the adverse Leon that is like almost about to be over. Like so that Leon's only right now, is being able to like take the lead over as while throughout like the majority of the advantage as that has almost consistently had the lead over Leon over like the great and the champion Leon will be all due to like Leon badly in that like distracted state. Uh, might be the case, it's definitely might be the reference. So like Leon might not be at all aware of this and like from Leon's point of view, what Leon will be only thinking that would be that like because like for Leon that after that in that distance of like in that very first battle that Leon battle against like which might have been against like so like which like Leon might have got and that might have been like the only that thing was like Leon might have actually not only lost but like actually might have feel felt that sense and that pressure and might have started in a bad might have been also the case in like Leon's life. It's also actually might have been. So like since then like it might have been all this great number of years past like all this great number of years past like Leon might have maintain that like for each enough of the place that Leon would be able to like defeat this that each and every single opponent. Definitely my good friend. So like all this great number of years since that very first defeat in that very first battle of Leon, this might have happened against like Kingdom. So different that that might be the case with Leon. So like since then like different might be only right now in the first that like Leon might go might be the facing off against that in like such a tough battle with like one and taking like the lead over Leon for like the majority of the battle and Leon only right now even being like takes the lead of has like basically Leon even struggling in a battle to such great extent like the great undefeated standing Leon is struggling in that battle like that's a great extent which might be solely taken that Leon's like fight the state about which Leon will be unaware. So like from Leon's point of view, seeing Leon struggle so much against the has to be making Leon feel as if like they will as it's so exceptionally and his performance against Leon is like so exceptionally superior that all their trainers and that is like the reason for like and I want Leon to like to this is like full potential in like a bad when actually it this current bad performance of Leon will be nowhere near that the true potential of Leon which would have turned Leon like the excited of that individual and it might be the case that he might be very and also not the theory and predictions. Like even right now, like the person that was beyond with is still in his lab, still not the like user self, still not might not be still nothing with like user actual performance lab. It might be that would still be in his lab user in his like current the flag state, even to the person, even as like Leon has like still towards like the end of like the battle, like Leon finally has like the state and like the leader over like even right now, not from like Leon might still be in his like practice state. And that would be the reason for like Leon not being aware of it might be also the case that the might also be understood and that the fact that like it was only one letter and about road of that like you was even able to like take the lead or finally was even able to like take the lead over that might have absolutely made might have absolutely nothing to do with like Leon's performance but like might have all had to do solely had to do with like that extreme power and toughness and strength of and endurance and stamina. And if all that of like the Pokemon Rillaboom alone, that might have been like the sole reason for like Leon right now towards the end of the battle, finally being able to like get the lead or had like a great individual champion Leon like only right now towards the end of the battle, finally being able to like get the lead over had this only due to the power and skills of that scalable pedal and might have nothing to do with that beyond like exceptional performance in like the battle because that still to my book rendition that actually the situation even right now in like the percent as well. Even after taking the lead, finally taking the lead of has to still in that has this distracted state. And I'm referring like that distracted state continuing on until that both of them will be setting out their last Pokemon. And that distracted state of like Leona something that leading Leon to that was like initial Russian city against Black Ash. It's like still in the scenario. And my person very interesting. Okay, so that let me know my person very right now. Like like also with the ice bang that charging towards like Leon's like reliable definitely my person very facing on those definitely for like the relevance that from beating attack that the different tilting in my differentiation for like trackers managing to that but it's clear that the managing to that short each and every single one of that to the wind of like the from beating attack and like trackers so making it towards that level and even landing that ice band at like a level that's the effective ice band against like the fight level is like a scenario that I'm going to talk about, and that is just like a significant amount of that damage to that already static injured like the scenario that I'm going to talk about. And yet, like I'm looking that relevant toughness means that to explain that like even after paying that Einstein and I like relevant still managing to still stand up and keep going. That's like scenario that I'm going to talk about. My very yeah, so like definitely I think very interesting right now. That's for like a head-on collision between like the icons of like the bomb of like the dragon type so like dragon. I'm considering that you operating in like dragon is not even remotely taking any significant damage at all. While when the bomb will be straight away getting defeated by dragon type attack. It looks like scenario that I'm looking for. So it definitely that reflects the scenario would be then probably while at that point like already going to do training like I'm moving like trying to referring to that goal again and like the scenario that I'm looking for so like then I'm looking for like the fight between like swap on it works cycle where like I'm still keeping my position where like Leon is probably using that casino of that spot money why and actually bit of the least expecting that. It's like the scenario that because definitely because of like this and that time I think like Leon having not even used a single one of like the gimmick of all out of all three gimmicks of like the dynamic and like the remote and like the mega evolution that with like Leon not having used not even a single gimmick I think like it will definitely it could be in that fight between like Leon's like spot money was like like Drago definitely emphasizing that Leon took it suddenly as like a surprise to be that falling out like the remove of like a very possible remove of like for money, which like has wouldn't even be seen coming with like the phenomenon that I'm doing. Yet like I'm doing like track which is like toughness, like and determination with basically like managing into like surprise that remove of like for money. Even after like that remove, definitely I'm looking like landing on like track and it's like some scenario that are shooting on this and never okay, so like definitely my possibility question right now as for like even in like the current decrease of chapter 11, for 11 by triangles like spikes on triangles having a significant role to play. Like I'm also in like that spike, like definitely I'm also in that still in the in the sense that like in that fight in that where like I'm doing next beyond the not spending out the chapter, but like certainly to be standing out as like for money and that fight in that for money and triangles definitely something like triangles like just spikes that I'm doing like growing and extending with a whole lot longer and basically catching like for the extremely speed is what one is like the scenario that I'm going to definitely in that battle between like Leon for money was like has struggled and the like scenario being like has struggled like had ordering a bunch of attacks of like Rakosh that like for money but like for money with that absolute is the it's like superior speed the campus as for money maybe have it so for money on each and every single attack of like Rakosh and Rakosh and in that way getting literally getting more and more frustrated and number like that whole protection resulting in that maybe that Rakosh managing to that basically to be able to like activate that spikes on that Rakosh's body, which basically that in that the next attack at that point that Rakosh would be trying to land and like what money as usual spot money dodging that attack with so spot money to be the fit but like at that point that spike like is sending out and grab it spot money like scenario and at that point maybe that's the ultimate that's really powerful that extremely powerful that dragon type move of that Dragos that get activated and that at that point I think the Dragos might be behind that move and basically you straight away launching that dark landing that launching that dark attack of like that powerful dragon type move uh at like spot money will be like totally unable to move while being getting that caught in that fight like Dragos and that way that I was taking out for money. So also like another kind of like a positive scenario. So it's like how some person can move with practice would be like repeating for money. It's like the other positive scenario that definitely it will be practice that will be repeating for money as well. And that will be and definitely Pikachu scenario being like Pikachu as well as starter totally entering into that the battlefield at the same time. Just like the scenario that even though Pikachu has that I think like initially has like Pikachu has initially at some point like the beginning has like entered into like match with still due to like Pikachu after that having to focus a long time having not really entered back into like the match for example given that Pikachu by now by then that will be getting a whole lot of time to like totally rust up looks like scenarios that I'm looking at. So that way that what Leon's like job as well as ability almost like entering into like a bad spirit that because of like almost entering into like a bad spirit the face off against like self that like almost correct in a correct and like kind of zero store manner feels like the scenario that I'm looking for them and my change. Okay, so that's like my consideration point right now with that the right of the bat to left, right of the bat like and if you let's go for boldly countering each other in remote that's right of that. That's right about the use of like dragon type move. That's different. This time I'm going to like beyond of like order. I'm just trying to about either beyond ordering it like stop running to like dots like the dragon type incoming dragon type move from dragons is like personality that I'm like I'm looking like but that's another then I'm looking that will be totally due to like beyond not feeling as confident in like basically in like weapon things like dragon in like microchip like dragon type Pokemon and it's like dragon type is definitely about to move like like this time around like Leon not having that confidence in that basically in only having this like top money like straight away face that move head on and counter it with like the scenario that so That's like one possibility that I'm looking. So like if that's the case, then I'm looking like Leon totally at that point ordering his like company to like short and like the dragon dive move and company with such absolute peace like dotting like the dragon dive move. Uh, but like I'm looking right then like exactly as that company will be easily dodging the dragon dive move that and would be right beside that dragon like at that point the dragon should like, fight that on its body like extending and grabbing that company and trapping company like and that way Draco capturing Stormon using its fight just like one possible scenario that I'm looking at. The other possible scenario that I was running for that Leon probably deciding to like counter like the dragon type current powerful moving of like Michael with Leon right now calling out that Stormon is like hero. So like that is like the only other positive thing that I'm taking about it. Like, so that way that Draco is dragon type versus that for one is like remove and that wouldn't be even a short scene that is coming that they want all something like on the building that really calling that to remove and that for money and that's without only films in the metal to the rest of that like without only forgot about like uh and that's again that like Leon could like totally use because of like Leon not having I think like not having used like any at all. I think so like that way, like I'm considering that the remove the perfect attack remove of stock money is what I'm considering at that point. That maybe totally easily or correct that the dragon by knows of like Dracos and like you can badly injure in Dracos like scenarios at that point that I'm percent like at that point I'm considering maybe when like Dracos like fight like we once again getting more activated and transformed like that. That's also thinking that maybe at that point that Dracos probably like I was that an extreme rage happening to like that and that absolute determination happening for like I was even up taking the remote the powerful remote from properly. So that resulting in land right at that point learning that new powerful try and like move right to like other possible scenarios that are also going. Okay, so that's definitely my very interesting right now. Because like so currently right now using that Titan kick against like the dragon type of that dragon that is different right now. As like so when you would be landing like that Titan kick from that height like up in land one like for no players and like the scenario would be that Leon getting like a huge shock because like that Titan kick would be like getting grabbed by like the huge jaws like uh, of Rakesh, like the scenario that I'm So like that is properly getting trapped with its like in that huge jaw of like Rakesh, like the scenario that I think. But that way, like Rakesh definitely not letting go at all. With its like strong jaw and powerful jaw and like properly at that point, probably offering his in like finally attempt to that free like for one to the like Leon. At that point, and was bring back Leon at that point, that heading to that for money, feel that only use that iron head Dracos, like the scenarios that I was trying. So that for money at that point, that using iron head multiple times on that Dracos in hopes of being able to that free set, but that's simply not happening. There's like the scenario that I'm also doing. Dracos simply not letting go, no matter how much that for money would be attacking that Dracos, like the iron head, so that scenario that I'm also doing. And at that point, I'm looking for a lag match or for instance, like my coach to lag for play slam spot running onto like the ground of that. So like the scenario variable. So like at that point, I'm looking for like I just try coach by grabbing onto like select of that spot and like slamming lag. Get like attacking with that hard slam attack. That will be slamming spot running onto like the ground. Like the scenario variable. So like that attack on that delivering of significant damage to that to company at that point is that the scenario that I'm especially above the on top of like the damage from like that slam from that crackers which are the public at that point. On top of that, like their company also taking like the added damage, between damage of that having the item kit at that point. So that crackers grabbing like company that and like saving like the identity like the scenario that way like I'm doing like the side effects of like identity in the frame that damage as well that added damage as well when it would be hit at that point on top of like the damage from the snap as well like the scenario that and from that point I'm definitely like sort of for money that for the struggling to even stand up or like move is like the scenario that I'm doing. For money at that point I'm looking at really expanding as well as like would be badly injured and would be an exhausted and would be that losing all that existing field of like company at that point is like the scenario that and the like it will be at that point that I'm like Leon and most likely ordering will be deciding to like use like the remove gimmick and like Leon at that point ordering to like when you use it's like fire-based flame type remove fire type attack remove. It's like the scenario that I was trying. So like but for maybe like two possibilities for that point for like maybe that it came after like Dragos would be that that seems powerful to part that powerful to landing on Dragos that should being and try to take more that damage to being after that like Dragos should like Dragon type may getting activated like only one possible scenario that I'm looking at like the other possible scenario that I'm looking for like as like for when you will be sending out like incoming like fire type Timo that kind of like Dragos at that point I'm looking at like Dragos like the activation of like Dragos is like move of the Dragon type move which I'm going to happen maybe at that point and basically at that point like as Sony softly realizing that and basically straight away at ordering that and as simple people like quickly seeing and like recognize what that attack event is that has been activated in like it's also like the scenario that I'm looking at. So like that way at that point not wasting any time and acting in time and basically straight away ordering that new alternate powerful dragon type moves that practice learning at that possible scenario that so like practice that way countering Scorpion is like powerful fire type to move with like Draco is like new powerful like dragon type attack. And that and still Draco is able to do that the move of like Scorpion is doing the three move that and then still Draco is like battling to that to that powerful two move of that Scorpion. Just like the scenario setup. And at that point like Draco is like determination and everything that was be kicking in and like that everything in that Draco is actually it's intact with all of the Draco is trying to element and that way Draco is like it's like new powerful dragon type move that's only like making it to a like weapon and landing that even all foreign stuff weapon is like part type you and like so with that and that I go to that one landing that new powerful dragon type of the like weapon and that way taking out and defeating weapon while Draco as well at that point will do the expansion of and also maybe just like the other process that I'm going to talk about it. You might have to do it. Well, it's the next new theory and traditional right now it's like a new platform right now the beating has struggled and like Leon switching out creativity to now for when I'm sending out active Pokemon charts right now against the Gampus Pikachu. That that's my preference to be solely regular Leon or confidence that we try for this game. Because like that's my personal impression because like because solely because of right now has been down to his like last Pokemon his like even though Pikachu when Leon will be producing Pikachu as like having his Pokemon skills things like Pikachu's like totally worn out like Leon will be right now having all this like all confidence pertinent to 78% so like Leon would have already right now fixed in my and declare himself as like the winner in like the current active Leon match in his mind. So definitely might be the case to definitely make it clear. So like I'm like Leon will be right now trying to create like this moment where like Leon might want to like throw this point like that Leon is like as like a statement for like the audience and for like the spectacle that's like wanting through like the piece and everything to that is leading. So since like as basically what the majority of the that had like the lead of like Leon like was only towards like end of the battle that Leon finally had managed to like defeat the champion Leon was like finally was able to like manage to that get back the lead I mean, like, what managed to like get a layer of answer, like, basically, so that Leon might want to like probably imprint that whole thing into like action development, the audience mind that they believe by facing off like action who's Pokemon, like action Pikachu with like Leon is Pokemon, like Leon Chakra, and basically to like set that statement, like in a way, in an attempt to like set that what Leon indicated, like the bold statement that like Leon is in fact, I feel like why Leon is in fact like undefeated champion that like is good that like but so that Leon's like his Pokemon sharp that completely destroying actually his Pokemon because that will be like an absolute necessity to like get back all that like lost the ego of Leon, which like definitely ego and that the that absolute awesome Leon. Like even though it might be very much for the Leon right now, it would have probably taken a hit for like a majority of like Leon like bad Leon like as definitely it like as mostly maintaining the Leon while it's probably of definitely my positive interest. So like this would be what Leon will be attending at number three like this would be solely this like Leon's like core confidence list and what eventually costing Leon like his loss again at like during the scenario that especially because of like Leon's like aim and like it's like stronger Pokemon team is like Java and like the fact that like Leon's already has is like score for it like the fact that like Leon, the decision of Leon to like not like have to have it like for money fight off against like has it like already won off tickets and to like totally use for money to like totally wear out and just like finally Pokemon because even more so that like that way by the time as it's like even that as Pikachu manages to like the case that Leon's like score money so that like it will by the time as Pikachu will be facing off against like Leon's Charizard which can even gigantic like if you get that point like as to that greatly reduce like to maximize like the possibility of like as not being able to like defeat Leon for like Leon not doing that and instead like wanting to like fight actually his Pokemon with like Leon his Pokemon actually to put that which might be to totally give the audience a show and even more than that see that only to that for Leon see that only that instill that like for statement onto that everyone's mind that is Leon is still like the undefeated champion like basically uh, and all that might be solely for such a reason like American Leon right now would be that would have went down to like Charizard and fall back to like for and that American like to totally so that would be Anderson playing a main role, a huge role in that Leon's defeat as just like doing the scenario in that like so that like Anderson like even through that the extreme struggle through which like Anderson like as it would be finally succeeding in like defeating Leon's like giant match jump that still Anderson like that defeat one like as previously that defeating struggling its way into like a lot of damage and injuries into like finally being that defeat Leon's Java like the scenario that I'm doing and at that point even though as it to be like barely able to like stand up still that the defeat of that the fact that as to so as was able to like defeat that undefeated Leon's like eighth Pokemon startup. And then the people think like also for like the possibility of like they believe it wouldn't be just like Leon being like this undefeated champion alone like ever since Leon became got the title of becoming like it's a undefeated champion like since then I'm just like Leon's eighth Pokemon startup as well. Myself never lost a single battle as well. So also like a possibility that I'm just so maybe actually would be like only aware of that. So like that's also like a positive example. So that as a Pikachu, even though running for such extreme struggle that would be finally continuous attempt to be defeating Leon jobs are like even though at that point as Pikachu would be like struggling to even stand up that the fact that Pikachu was able to like defeat that could is Pokemon of that taken for Pokemon of that Leon this like Leon's like main form of chapter Pokemon that totally given both as well as like that has to be the major boost of like confidence and like that huge morale just giving them that huge morale boost so that like that huge morale boost like even though Pikachu would be like exhausted at that point to the extreme and would be struggling to even stand up like solely due to that morale boost and like and with like Pikachu actually succeeding in like also defeating and taking out like this Scorpion and Leon as well. There's like the scenario that I'm looking. So like it's decision, the current decision of like Leon in like the second right now to like switch out to like Scorpion against like Pikachu and sending out like just like Charizard and the different like would be playing a major role, one of them like multiple major roles like so be playing one huge major role in like in which he will be just putting in like Leon's defeat against like that. There's like millions of scenarios that I'm looking and my personal worry and person. So this is actually my secondary and concern right now. Like right away, it's like the old Jagged and like Java as of Pikachu still in its like same tiny size. Like I'm definitely I'm still thinking about this very section right now. That basically definitely it could be that Pikachu to like remove game that I'm looking at that only being able to replicate like the giant amount of the through finally through that and even though through a lot of puzzles, finally under the control the only throw that Pikachu to remove alone that I'm looking for things for that extra special remove alone that I'm looking for that as and to like Pikachu to be even be able to like defeat like, the or like Gigantomans Chakra of like of like scenario that I'm looking for. And I'm looking for like again for money that I'm looking like to be just like that moral boost and confidence boost of like being able to like defeat that and also that extremely powerful and famous that Gigantomans Chakra that moral boost that will be helping and to like to be able to keep going and be able to like defeat that beyond for money. That is actually the scenario that is thinking all this and my dream. And definitely something that that way that's the degree of that because that if ultimate Pokemon Java will be such an absolute extreme shock and that would be that Leon would be able to maybe at that point feeling this in that stuff but definitely my good membership so according to my good ambition I'm definitely something that it will be the first time that the world will be seeing that Leon like chapter is Pokemon alternate is Pokemon Dragon Mask chapter and getting defeated by another Pokemon. It's definitely also my different. Like that totally things that that's happening and at that point it things doesn't stop for Leon. Like the scenario that I'm and definitely Leon at that point after the defeat of chapter Leon's totally will be getting extremely secure. That meets my personal impression because like a lot of like Leon's like the image that like Leon has built up of like this power cross undefeated champion that all that will be crumbling and you won't be feeling that all that image that is built up like that it's like crumbling at that point it's like the scenario that I'm looking. So like in that final that between that Leon stop and it was that it is definitely I'm looking that Leon probably definitely will be using that stop and remove against that hash which I'm definitely preparing at that point. Definitely, I'm looking for like Ash because even though Ash by then will be extremely tired and frosted and will be starting to know still I'm looking like Ash putting in all that strength into like trying to like toss that stream of like weapon beyond like weapon and like Ash actually struggling his way into like managing to like succeed in like dodging that of that beyond weapon like definitely to be good scenario. And definitely I'm looking for like Leon's like properties like remove under the time to just be a normal firefight remove. Unlike if the expert catches like to do that like chases after like the opponent even after like the opponent or just that won't be like the kind of like remove of like opponent. So like once like people will be managing to like dodge that remove of opponent like I'm looking like the very next move of that signature something that it should be like an ultimate powerful like in the attack some about attack of that which is like or like a camera attack of that which is like the scenario that I'm looking with this like has and which is will be defeated for money as well as like everyone that way. And it's like brilliant scenario that I'm looking for right now. Maybe it's like but it's my personal interesting right now for like the solution between that the ultimate team and wild at the end of like they get a nice job done of Leon versus like actually which is being like springs shell up particle reaction like noticed by my lawyer right now. And so the different next that happening all simultaneously would be able to like since like both Pokemon like Leon job as well as like as a people to they right now like and they're fighting at their absolute maximum full potential and that might away that point at like while fighting at their full potential and the resulting collision between the two alternate powerful attacks might have resulted in that basically that might have been what resulted in like some of those attacks then going up to like guiding to that intensity of that poison being so extremely intense that unbreakable and what might have happened might have been that scalar particles are found I think only in like the Galar region as well as and Leon's like sharp like gigantic sharp like alternate power like gigantic power so might be so intense that it might have been it might be right now flipping in that all the Galar particles that spread across like all across like the Galar region being drawn towards that by towards like attack intense attack of that pretty much wildfire of that Leon's like gigantic sharp might be the case. And I'm going like the same thing would be happening just like as a digital as well, like as digital unit, like as Google might be doing it like absorb everything into its like ultimate electric demo as well. So like just like that attack going up to the sky as like I'm just like that attack naturally I'm just maybe might be like an attack where like the power of like that while like those two attacks between like Pikachu and like the demon stuff are like the collision between like the Gigantamax attack and like the Zemo, the Gigantamax type attack and like the Zemo electric type attack, like I'm like the collision resulting in like Leon like jobs like fire type attack like absorbing like it's like power and intensifying through like by absorbing and attracting all the Galar particles from the Galar region while Pikachu's like electric type Zemo like only absorbing all the electric type power and like all the sun in like the sky all across like the world is like for scenario that I'm looking like that way like about since like Leon like Chakra, Dragon Chakra like attack only doing anything by only the like the collective power of all the Galar particles that also makes the Galar region in one by as we get to the spring would be like throwing out like the power of constant from all across like the world in like the current team attack of like as that way like as a city team like Farley right now set up like really like that war for like the team match by the attack of like the match Chakra and like the GMAX Chakra currently being wrapped by like that ultimate remove collective power of like the power of like physical and that way like about in the that single landing of that ultimate electric attack of like Timo that like which is at that point landing on like the GMAX Chakra straight away on the like the GMAX Chakra There's like the scenario that I'm looking at. Instantly like as a situation dictated like you know, that getting myself that is scenario that I'm also running right now and my person to the and function right now. So like things about human consideration of the little things that the current collision between like the attack of that the between of electricity and like the human by the attack of that beyond like dynamics of the for example brings that to be like a collision between like the power existing in like the skies versus like the power existing on like the land across like the land of like the land region and particularly that the collision on the different rotation setting in like a permanent change happening in that the world like of the entire world of that program and that's the entire region of like the region of like which is like the scenario that happening. So like sometimes like something happening with like the way like the radar particles would be something all across like the radar region from this point on like might be so like something some sort of like a permanent change happening all across like the radar region connected to like the radar particles. It's like my booking as well as in the skies as well. Something like through the Slack attack and like that ultimate remove electric attack was Slack because which I'm will be drawing out or like and drawing out like the powers of like the standards but all across like the sky, all across like the world. Numbers something like that as well. Creating some sort of like a permanent change in like the skies as well. So like and land versus like sky that is would do what right now like versus like collision between that because and like the game itself that would be that problem a permanent change in that piece of land of the region as well as like the community for like the entire side of like the entire Pokemon world. This is also like invented for the Fanabi that I'm going to putting in my daily. Also, so that's definitely my very interesting right now. That's so like it's right now going out of control and breaking out of that more that I'm putting right now. So like the scenario to be that Eternatus lack for the that this lack collision between the fundamental energy of like the collision between of like this energy, this combined energy of like mega evolution of the like dynamite, the like the that considering like all that considering maybe getting absorbed by Eternatus right now. Is like the possibility that I'm going to do it. So like considering that way Eternatus maybe at that point like turning into like Eternament form at that point is like looking up that so like then until like Eternatus like will be rampaging through that particular region and destroying everything, throwing out the control and destroying everything inside like the scenario that I'm looking for. And at that point I'm looking for like York Ash in the video, like Ash getting on top of like Leon's job, like Ash to get it. And I'm looking for like that way. Them I'm looking for like they trying to like stop so yeah, like Eternatus and like them so that being such an extreme struggle. And I'm looking for like all the other like master state trainers as well, all the attendants from like other regions who are present in like the stadium, one of the master state. Then as well that all teaming together and trying to like stop that uncontrollable and rampaging that Eternament Eternatus will be like throwing starting to like install like the garbage like using its like fundamental uncontrollable powers like the scenario that like I'm looking for job but master state trainers that getting defeated by Eternate one by one at that point with like the scenario until it's like it is only like and the alone remain. So like I'm looking that at that point I'm looking that uh, like Leon chopped out as well as like as to that. So he once again somehow managed to do that. And at that point, like I think Leon chopped out as well as critical being able to that at that point maybe attract a bunch of like those energies that will be surrounding like the global like something to that. You think that this like maybe once again that Leon like chopped out might turn into it's like gigantic form as well as like actually due to the sport collective energy maybe at that point, put yourself in a problem that like I'm going to get to as well turning giant into like a dynamic form of electricity. And then collectively that would dynamic charge up and like the dynamic into fighting off against like the government and like collectively then with that combined strength of like the dynamic charge up and like the dynamic ability that and then using that combined like that knowing and the individual ultimate attack like a combined man of towards like the uncontrollable eternity, and that way bringing it down and defeating it, and that way, like finally, eternity that coming down. maybe that even fainting at that point, like the scenario better. And that way, like I'm like Leon at that point, initiating is like working on a Pokemon and calling it back to that Pokemon. It's like maybe that's really the scenario that I'm looking forward to, and my video right now. And then okay, preparing that whole week later, like I'm preparing that the pre-battle, like the official pre-battle happening between that and Leon, in which like I'm preparing would be when like it would be only at that point is what I'm preparing when only up like a whole week like I was looking like that pre-battle between that and Leon is happening, in which like I'm preparing like that battle not being shown, but like I'm preparing like the scenario being that as defeating Leon in that pre-battle, official pre-battle, that due to that inexecution due to that Eternatus just like totally going out of control due to getting of the right now. It's like the scenario that so like that. So like that of the thing in like a rebattle happening a week later between that official rebattle happening a week later between that and Leon, and it's like as to defeating Leon, which numbers are currently not being shown like scenario. So that way a week later, a whole week later, like as becoming that the defeating like the ultimate and defeating champion or like scenario that and that they had seen with like ultimate war that becoming the ultimate champion. It's like the scenario that I'm also recovering and my story and production. So like I'm looking maybe for like scenario to be like right now that for like the match to be impressive to do like actually like in that way like actually heading off and stopping it matters without like much great delay. And then like I'm looking for like the remaining of like the whole week like about like Ash telling actually deciding to like head off towards like well so it would be that going will be with this like daily with like just a thing like going to like costumes and so like that way like Ash straight away uh won't be at all feeling as if like to train anymore for like the official rebattle that might be happens between like Ash and Leon the week later. So like Ash deciding not to train anymore at all and maybe Ash straight away heading over to trying to go to that to go the that attempting that first mission. And that way like for like when that of that place like Ash spending his time with like go and basically Ash steering on goals and all the way until that goal you finally that final place that will be finally capturing you like the scenario. So like I'm delivering still thinking of my culture emotion for like either though actually managing to like catch up more, but like even more than that, I'm looking for like in that race that everyone probably getting all of the entire team of like support team members that in the race that like new teams was window of or that you're taking out and defeating each and every single one of their performance. But I'm looking for like still equal to for like a scenario being like for performing in that race battle in that battle against you. Half that and like surprisingly far of that everybody else in that final that crucial ultimate battle. And that way that will over and still with the emerging victory still we totally maybe lacking that absolute passion in that was I and the passion with which that go into that can go without that even made or that others like that superior passion of like those maybe that I'm looking like new recognizing that and that way like after that way that will be over like new itself like approaching growth and then that allowing itself to be captured by it at that point that when you choosing to and then with that being out that role would be that finding being his brain that can sell go. You know, it's that change of scenario that I'm sorry. So like maybe after that like I'm looking like as soon as that happens I'm looking maybe like that whole 1 week period until at that point would be being over and it will it will time for us to like okay return back to like how like reback to go like, you know. So like at that point like go well would be that showing up will become yellow ash and will be at like the cheer at as like ash will be finally to be your that way and becoming like the champion and like the ultimate champion and ash as well that way. I think it's for us so like there was a scenario that I'm looking for and my particular right now. Okay, so like what will be my particular temporal gym right now that's for like Eternatus right now showing up to like the stadium where like Leon and Ash that link that I'm going to print that would be using like that we want internet will be after like that internet would be like the Friday wanting to like to change into this like what might be like ultimate form like it into this like eternal definitely might be this might be what like internet with right now is breaking up all that to keep the power and like that transformation into like eternal form would be what like eternal would be right now desiring. But like in order for like Eternatus to be able to like transform into that form I'm looking right now, like this might need a lot of like energy is definitely necessary. So like the energy that was released by like during like the collision between that the Gigantamax Shasta that while the Max while the attack as well as that the remote of secretary that collision that huge amount of energy that was released during that collision might have been what might have attracted lag might have been what might have caused lag. It might have like once again this control and might have been exactly what like might have caused lag. It might have drawn Eternatus to like stadium fight. That we might have created. So like what Eternatus would be wanting right now to be like that absolute intent energy within like the powerful unit chapter as well as within like the chapter of that Leon and that within like the group of that need micronutrient to like to steal away the immense energy within these two Pokemon. The reward like the match might be like to steal away all that energy so that like it will like probably finally transform into like it's like ultimate it this form will be fixed that might be the bit that needs micronutrient.